Hello and welcome everyone in another episode of Researcher Celebrity. Today we have Dr. Prerna Bali with us as our Researcher Celebrity. A brief introduction about her. Dr. Prerna has done her bachelor's in life sciences, master's and PhD in zoology. All the education was done at Delhi University. And then she pursued her passion for research and got award one of the most reputed postdoctoral fellowship in India, Dr. D.S. Kothari Fellowship. She worked at Jawaharlal Nehru University for that, and currently she is a postdoc at UCSD, San Diego. With this brief introduction, I would like to welcome Dr. Prerna and saying thank you for accepting our invite.
Thank you, Raja, for giving this opportunity.
So we always, yes, thanks. So we always start our conversation with a standard question that how and when you decided to become a researcher.
Oh, okay. As you know, in India, it's a regular pattern that when you start after your 12th and then your high school, then you move on to your bachelor's. Then if you want to become a doctor, I wanted to become a doctor. If you don't get through, then you go into your bachelor's and continue your master's and then continue your PhD. That's how in India, that's how you go on. But yeah, research kind of interested me. Science kind of interested me in some way. Biology, basically. During my high school, in my 12th, when I was learning about Mendelian genetics and everything, so about the ABO blood group system and everything, I was very interested to find out who is heterozygous. I used to talk to my family and all. Okay, what's our blood group? What's your blood group and all that stuff? And to find out, okay, you're B positive, you're O positive. So that means my father is O and my mother is B. So how are we O and what? So we are heterozygous. My mom is heterozygous. These kind of I used to put into our daily lives and everything. So that from that I started. I wanted to be more interested in science. That made me go into science more. To okay, let's study about it. Obviously, the first step was okay. Let's be a doctor, give entrance exams, didn't pass, didn't go through qualify. So then, okay, continue with bachelor's. I did my bachelor's in life sciences. So I had chemistry and biology and botany, all zoology, all three were my main subjects. Then moved on to zoology as my master's. There I got involved into immunology. I was introduced to immunology. So that was at first it was a lot to take in because there are so many molecules and lots of stuff. At first I was like, no, I'm not getting this. But slowly and steadily I got interested into it in cell biology, in signaling and in immunology and all that stuff. So immunology kind of intrigued me and then cancer kind of intrigued me. I wanted to work with human samples and everything. So that's how the interest kept on building to work on. I even got an offer during my PhD to work on soil samples. But I didn't want to work on soil bio remediation stuff. One of the professors was working on bioremediation. It was a big shot. But still, I didn't want to work on those samples because I was more interested to work on human samples, working on cancer, do something to make a difference in the society, because when you're young you want to be going to make some difference into the society by doing some research and all. So yes, so that's what made me go into my PhD, take up my PhD and all. So I started my PhD. I did my PhD when I got an opportunity to work on malaria. I said, yeah, I will do that. That's quite close. That's something nearer to samples, human samples and all that stuff. So yeah, that's how I started.
So, like, started from your high school, as you mentioned, that the genetics, immunology, which started taking you in there. And then when you decided that you want to pursue a PhD, which is not very comfortable in India, we can say, and committing yourself towards PhD, what were the major thoughts you had at that time? And by the end of the PhD term, how have they changed?
Well, to begin with, none of no one in my family is from academics background, so I was not guided at all. I was very naive. Now, at that time, I think many of us were naive. Even you must be naive. We all are naive, we were naive. But right now, students are very much informed. They're not naive like us. So I didn't know. I was not guided to go which way. I was just going, okay, I want to work with human samples, so I will go to that particular field to work with on my PhD and all that. So I wanted to work on cancer, but unfortunately I didn't get any opportunity to work on cancer. So the next bet shot I got to work on malaria. So I was like, yes, I will work on this something that this is also an infectious disease. You get human samples and all. This is something that I can work on it, and that's how it started. And what made me go is the question, the fire in the belly that I had to that interest that I had that okay, it's malaria, it's infectious disease, it's killing people, it's very it's like it's not and it's endemic whole in India, in the Indian population it's quite endemic. And how can what research can I do? In the beginning I was working on mosquitoes in the beginning when I had not decided what topic I will start my research on, because I was working with Dr. Obi Singh at that time. He kind of taught me a lot because when I joined in here, he kind of interviewed me, though my PhD guide was Dr. Adak. But he was the one who interviewed me and asked me, what do you want to do? What do you know? What molecular biology have you learned? What I knew basics at that time from my masters and everything. And then he said, "What do you want to do?" He said, "We work on mosquitoes and all that stuff." Adaksa was sitting just right in front of us. He was working on something else. And OP Singh sir was taking my interview at that time. And she's like, "Okay." I said, "Okay, so what research is done over here?" He said, "We work on mosquitoes and we find out we study and then genetics of about mosquitoes." And I said, "So then what? Then what?" They said, "Then genetic manipulations may happen and with whatever." So then what? I said, "Sir, is it possible to even do something in like uh, there is nothing at the end? We'll be able to release genetically manipulated mosquitoes in the at large, and will it work?" So he, Singh sir told Adak sir, "Look what she's talking about." I was like, "Sir, I'm more interested at the moment to work on the parasite side, which is human side, where we can at least look more." For me, it's because I wanted to work with human samples. So I'm more interested in that. So I said, okay, let's start with what we are doing over here. Then we slowly can progress to human samples. So yes, at the end I did, and I wanted to integrate immunology into it. So so I was like, okay, what should I do? There is no one kind of over there at that time. In the institute was under moving into a new facility, and everything was happening at that time. And at that time, it was very new. It was not for PhDs and everything at the National Institute of Marine Research. Now it has grown. There are so many PhD students working there and all. But at that, it was very new. And okay, I worked on myself. Did everything. I started, okay, I'll work on molecular biology. I work on SNPs and look it in immune genes so that there's a touch of immunology into it because I wanted to work with human samples and immunology. So I've amalgamated both of them into my PhD project. So I worked on TLRs and SNPs. So yeah, so this is what I did. And during my PhD, there's lots ups and downs. So you have to be very patient during your PhD for sure. And you have to stay positive. It is not easier said than done. Staying positive, because at that time you're obviously you can't stay positive. You feel like, what is happening? My results are not coming the way they're supposed to come in, and whatever. But yes, this is part of life. It does happen. You do get setbacks, but you have to get over it, and you have to keep on moving forward
So
with it. So
here I would like to ask you that when you, so this is the time when we ask that were there any time when you actually thought of quitting the PhD?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Sometime it was not quitting. I was like, I'm fed up. Because at the end, during the very end of my end of my PhD, I was repeating certain experiments, and they were not coming. They were not happening. The results, I was just repeating them, and the repetitions were not coming, and I was getting irritated, and I was not getting no support or something. So I was like, damn it, I want to leave the PhD and just go away. But I had friends, and obviously at that time my husband was also there in the lab. So yeah, I had his support also. So I had everybody there who supported me. No, you have to work. Let's do something. We'll think about something. Uh, and eventually we got past it and we got the results, and then I submitted my PhD. So yeah, it does happen. You do get over it, but at that point it's not easy. I'm not saying it's really easy to think, okay, I'm sitting here because I've moved on. I've completed a PhD. I'm doing my postdoc, but it's not easy at that time. You feel very helpless, but it happens to everybody, kind of. So you have to move on from there. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I would like to ask this question that you came up with your own project for your PhD, as you
Yeah.
said, because you were predetermined that you want to do something with human samples and then
Yeah.
include immunology in that. So coming up with your own project, and if given choice, that as you mentioned, Dr. O.P. Singh gave you a choice that you can go with the mosquitoes where the project is established, all your methodology guidelines, everything is there. You just have to follow and you'll get your PhD, which probably might save some time. So for our audience, if you can say that, what are the pros and cons of building up your own project for your research or following one of the leads which is established in the lab and people have done it and you have all the guidance for that. So what are the pros and cons of these two?
Pros and cons. It's a hit and trial method because there's no one to help you with it on that particular thing. You have to read a lot, you have to study a lot. It's a hit and trial. It's time consuming. If you think you don't have that much time, you should just follow whatever is happening in the lab and then just follow that. But obviously to do that, you need the what I say, it's the most important, the passion or the fire in the belly. That's what they say. To You have to follow that. No, I want to do that. I want to only work on that. If you have that commitment to it, probably you will that will help you pass through it. But if you don't have the time, or don't have the confidence, probably confidence is something that at that time not that high because you don't know stuff and you're trying to learn. So dwindles a between, but still the zeal to do it takes you through. So that's the point, that if you want to pursue something that's of your, and you have to have support a bit. I The thing with Dr. Adak was, though he didn't help me in my research, but he gave me all the things that I needed to get. I needed samples, he got me samples. I needed kits to work on, he got me that. So monetary and whatever I needed to get the stuff, that's what he provided. He didn't was not able to help me on the science part, which was a bit, yes, at PhD you do need to have somebody to help you guide you on your science part, because PhD is your foundation, research of your research. So at that time it does help, because if you do get some help at that time, it doesn't. But I it's a learning process. I didn't get that. I learned it on by myself. So it helped me, and now I can troubleshoot. I know whatever I did at that time, if I have to redo it, I know what the problems will troubleshooting. I know each and every point, because it's the hurdles that I solved by myself. So I know what's coming. It happens. But those who want to follow the what's going into what's happening in the lab, just follow that. If they don't want to waste their time, and they don't have the confidence, they don't want to do that, please do forward. Please go with that. I took an I took that what do you call what you can say, uh, it was a very dicey situation. I just pursued this in a lab which was more on entomology instead of that. But I took a leap of faith and I did it. It's not necessary everybody can, but leap of faith is very important in science. You have to take. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that.
So you made your own path, and here you are today. So
Yeah.
now let's talk about the time of, as you mentioned a little bit about the burnouts, when you thought that, okay, I need some break so that I can rejuvenate myself. And during that time, your support system, how they have helped you, and what you can suggest to the audience that how they should always be open for taking breaks, as well as to be more uh, transparent to the support system, either it is family, friends, supervisor, you know, as it may be the case for every single one, that how they should approach do those times when things are just not going the way you want.
See, everybody needs a break. Everybody, because you 24 hours you're thinking about science and everything. Your brain needs a break. So obviously, even I used to need a break. So break is like going out with your friends. Have a time. Have if you take a break from, if something is not working, take a break. Have something good to eat. Go out for good to eat. Have enjoy with your friends, or you have go on a vacation with your family if you want to do that. Take a break. Break is when you come back, you're more rejuvenated, so your brain is now fresh. You can think in a better way. So it does happen sometimes. You're stuck on a topic or some research or something, and then you're unable to understand what is it. So just take a break. When you come back, probably you will be able to go for, because your brain has been refreshed. So go on a vacation, talk to somebody, if in your family, if you have somebody who gives you an unbiased opinion, which is very important. If your friends give you an unbiased opinion, if your supervisor is very supportive on that, you can speak. If you're comfortable with your supervisor, you can talk to him about it. It depends. It depends on supervisor. So it's when you're choosing your labs, you have to see the environment where you want to join. How is your supervisor with you? How is the environment of the lab? Is it always like working all day and night, just working? That's kind of quite boring. You have to have fun. So yeah, that's there. I remember during my PhD, we had the 2010 Commonwealth Games. At that time, we enjoyed our Commonwealth Games. During my PhD, we used to go out for like a couple of days. We used to go out for what going and watching the games. It's so rejuvenating, going out with friends. So
Mhm.
that is important. It's an important part of your while you're doing a PhD or research. You need a break, obviously.
Absolutely. So, being the first generation researcher and happen to be women, when in India people talk about women in STEM, there. So, what are your thoughts on the debates that should we discuss women in STEM, or you? What are your thoughts about it?
Should we discuss women in STEM in
Yeah,
what case?
like
Like,
now there are lobbies where people say that they are given some extra, advantages that they have, or vice versa. Some people say it negatively. What were your experiences, and how you can guide our coming next generation of researchers who are girls?
see, if you want to do research, if you want to pursue research, go ahead and do it. There's nothing. You are not no less than a man.
Yes.
You can go ahead and do it. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve. Life will happen in between. It
Yeah.
will happen. So you can't stop that from happening. So I also had a break during my career. I had a baby, so I also had a break. That will happen to women. So that's the thing that happens. That's the main. That's not about science. In every field there is like women are on the setback because they feel like, oh, women will have a baby and then they will be out for some time, and then they will be out of touch from whatever field they are from, and then they'll come back. They will not be like, why waste money on them instead of men who will be working there for the whole time? But women can, if you, there are many people who support this, who support women, who help them to go ahead. And we can become great researchers. There are so many great researchers who are women
Yes.
and who have even won the Nobel Prize. So why not aim for that? Aim for the Nobel. You will land up anywhere, even if you might be getting a Nobel Prize at the end of your career. So you never know what. Don't be like, don't high under par, just high above what even the Nobel Prize. Maybe
Yeah,
you land up with it. We don't never know. So
absolutely.
you go ahead and pursue your research. It's no, don't be think about this. Okay, we are women, we are not be able to do it. You have if and you will and connect with those people who support, who will be support your growth.
Yeah,
Don't connect. If you find someone who is negative about it, no need to be with them. Stay
absolutely.
away from negative people. Those who support you will help you grow.
Yes.
That's be with them.
Yeah, this is something which we are so Empowering Sense Foundation have this vision of breaking the barriers. And one of the barrier now, which we have seen in past decade or so, that is rapidly changed in India, that the quality of researchers in India is increasing, also is increasing the number of women participation in there. And that's why we need more and more of them. And as you said, I think I should just will re you know repeat it for our audience that nothing should stop you and life will happen. So if you are a researcher, just enjoy what you are doing. It should not be biased on anything else except science. There will be criticism based on either kind of research or whatever you are doing. But if you know what you are doing is going to help even a single person, then human society in whole. Because Dr. Prerna started with a translational thought that she wants to help human health, if not with cancer, then with infectious diseases, with malaria, which happen to be the number one mosquito-borne disease, which kill hundreds and thousands of people every single year. If you have that passion, the zeal within you, then what Dr. Prerna is sharing here, and now we will go to next question, will be guiding so many other researchers who are still in the mode of getting into the PhD, or who are already pursuing PhD after listening this. So Dr. Prerna, when you submitted your thesis, what was the first thing which you were thinking that you want to pursue or continue the same research in India or out abroad?
At that time, I wanted to stay in India, kind of. I was not right now ready to go abroad. But yes, I was looking for postdoc opportunities. So I got to know that my guide who had just joined back in India in JNU. So he was coming in. I had met him once before during my PhD. I was really impressed with his thought process in science. So I was like, yes, if he's coming back, I would like to be join him because I wanted to pursue, as you know, immunology was my thing. So I wanted human samples and immunology. That was my main criteria of joining research. So be it infectious diseases or be it anything else, but it has to deal with immunology and it has to deal with human samples. So he used to work on mycobacterium and his lab was being set up at that time. So I was like, okay, I would like to kind of join him and because I was really impressed with the way he used to think about science. So yes, I joined his lab and everything. And then from there, I later on I got married and I we moved to the US and where I came across to my lab, which is my current lab, where we working on gastric cancer. So did land up in cancer, which I wanted to do. So now it's a win-win situation that I'm doing cancer now. So which I though it's gastric cancer and see can I know everybody somehow somewhere some relative or some friend they know anybody somewhere that someone is having cancer or someone has died because of cancer. So in my family, my uncle died of at the age of 50, 54 when he died of colon cancer. my uncle. So my maternal uncle. So at that time, I was just doing my bachelor's. So that also interested. I wanted to do on cancer, work on cancer. So eventually, I have landed up on doing cancer. So that's the pretty part that I am working on cancer now. So yeah, so it is something I wanted to do research at so I applied for the DS Kothari Fellowship in India at that time during my first stint in postdocs over there, and I got it through, got the award, and in that I worked on infectious disease again in that lab, and that was an immunology based lab. I wanted to learn the immunology techniques. So one obviously should not be, one should always think. Nowadays, many of people think, okay, we have a particular problem, but the techniques we don't know, and we fear of the techniques. And we don't know the techniques. I can't do this. I'm not good enough. This is how the environment is made over there. But I would like to tell you, techniques one can learn. No one knows the techniques from birth, or they don't know. Everybody has learned it. So you can also learn the main thing is the problem that you want to solve. Techniques can be learned. So I wanted to learn the techniques of immunology, like flow cytometry and all that. So that kind of guidance, that's what I was exposed to in his lab in because I wanted to work on immunology. So I was hardcore immunology. I was exposed to hardcore immunology. I studied a lot. I read papers. So it gave me exposure. That made me land up here in when I'm working in this lab in UCSD on gastric cancer. So it's immunology plus molecular biology, and it's working on cancer oncology. So so that made me, that exposure over there made me work here. And here also I got I'm getting good exposure on working on different aspects. And second, my PI, whenever you join a postdoc and a PI, your PI you should always check how your PI is. One meeting, in one meeting you can gauge that how your PI would be. It's not necessary you can find out how your PI, but your PI should be, your PI should be a very good human being. Because if your PI is a good human being, you will enjoy working with them. So that's really important. Choose your PI well, choose your lab well. It's
This
not that it's not like you can get lucky, you can get very good PIs and all. It's not necessary. Sometimes we do land up with not good PIs. It does happen, but you go through it. Look for if you can change at that time. Go, because a good PI will uh, mentor you in a very positive way, and then give you a good path, guide you very in a positive way. So which is very important to when for research, because in research negativity is all around. Positivity you have to get from within, and if your PI is with you, he or she will obviously show you the light.
Absolutely. And this is something which we always say that we have already a lot of critics in researcher field. What you need is supportive PI and lab peer group of either your friends or within there, where everyone is there to support you and to help you to troubleshoot, overcome all the hurdles because they come every single day, now and then, and you have to stay your head always on top of all the problems, and that's how you survive in research. So now I would like to ask about the different scenario. So you made your priority that you want to pursue research also post your PhD, but you want to be in India. So you navigated your path and got the DS Kothari Fellowship. So for some of our viewers probably who are not very well aware of this, that what are the postdoc opportunities which they can go, either they can do any, quality or what are the basic things which I can say that you might have experienced in during this time and might have heard from your peers that why researchers in India want to move out of India in the first place.
Because in India, at first, the thing is getting it's very easy and very easy to get your chemicals, your kits, and everything. They come very easy. Just order, and they are here in a couple of days. But in India, it's a long process. You have to go through there's a lot of paperwork. There's everything. Setting up a lab. I have experience of setting up a lab in India. It takes a lot of your time. And and then in India also there are certain guides over there who are they do teach you, but you get a different kind of atmosphere in abroad, where nowadays it is changing in India. I feel now it's quite a lot. All the new scientists coming in, they have a very different approach. Now it's very much changing. Not at our time. In our time, it was very old school. It was like research, do research all day and all whatever. And maybe the but the procuring things, it takes time. So that is very easy over here. You can start your research in a week or within a month's time. Everything starts coming up. Your samples are here. Everything is here. You do your research and your guidance, because here it's very open, very freedom. Sometimes freedom is not given in India. That is there, but freedom is very important. I have been lucky. I have got my freedom during my PhD as well, because I had freedom during my PhD also, and here also I have in UCSD also have freedom. Also, I had freedom back when I did my PhD postdoc in India as well. So yeah, freedom is also very important. You should have a bit of free hand.
Absolutely. And this is what helps you to become more independent as a researcher also. And as you mentioned about setting up a lab, which is very helpful when you are becoming an independent PI and we are going to start
Yeah,
your own lab, because there are people who have never done any of this. And because that's why Dr. Tiadak always say that PhD is a training for lifetime. It trains you. And this is one of the part that we have seen that some of the young faculties actually face a challenge in this way, that they have never procured stuff, or it was already there, very easy to do. And now if they have to wait for a time, longer durations, as in say in India, that is one of the reasons of their biggest frustrations come from. It's not from research, it's because of the process which is taking so much time, which they are not very, either they are not ready or they are so enthusiastic that they want everything to be there so that they can just think of experiments in their head and then perform them so that they can work for their research
yeah,
question. Now,
yeah.
switching gears a little bit, what you can suggest the researchers who are doing everything, perfect as said, and still are not able to publish that. So now talking about the publications, how
Hmm.
you have navigated your path and what you can suggest that how they should approach.
How to write publications or get
Mhm.
publications done? Okay. Uh, it's all you need to make a story. Think of it as a story. Whatever problem you have thought of and what hypothesis you're thinking this might happen. Read papers. Be current with your research field. What is happening? What research is coming out? What all? Read your papers. Read them. Understand them. What are the loopholes over there? And then if you what problem you have thought of and what think of design your experiments according to that. Design your experiments, what can be done, what is possible according to what the facilities you have with you, according to that, or what you can collaborate with someone to get the things done. Think of what all experiments need to be done, and according to that, consider what story is coming up. Always there, consider it as a storybook. If you want to enthrall your audience, how the storybook is going, how the story is going. That's how a paper is written. You need to come up with a story that, okay, we did this, we found this, then we thought, okay, what does it do over there in that pathway? Okay, let's do this particular experiment to show. Think of the experiments. Reading is really be current with your field of research. That's the thing. You have to read a lot of papers. You have to be thinking of reading a couple of papers or one or two papers every day of your field of research to be current. What is all happening? What you can think of? What story you can make if you have something? this in this if you did one experiment, you found this is that in which direction you want to move ahead. This is how once your experiments are done, you've got your results, then you have to think what is coming up as a story, and then start writing your paper your and how to write papers. Again, reading the papers from what is published. How do they write? How in section wise it's written. How how you want to think, because this is whenever you're writing, because eventually you'll be writing a thesis if you're a PhD. That's also part, and writing is also a part of our research work, because scientific writing is very important. You have to write you have to read, and how you understand that, you have to read papers. So eventually you have to read a lot of papers, and how to make a story out of it, and how to write your how it is written, particularly research that you field you work on, how papers are written in that particular field, right, in that matter, in that way. And then obviously your PI is there to guide you, if he'll correct you what's wrong and what's right, and then you can move forward with that. And then obviously once you say send it to for publications over there, reviewers give you suggestions. If it's positive or very minor revisions, you will understand, you will learn. That's a learning process. And if you get an opportunity to even review papers, that doesn't come early on, because you during PhDs, until unless you have published papers, only then the publications, they come out with your names and they send you to review. And once in the process of reviewing, you'll also learn how people are writing, how you're supposed to correct them. You will learn it yourself, that how you are supposed to write papers and how you have to read. So that's also very important. Scientific writing is also really important. It's a part and parcel of research. So I hope I did justice and
Absolutely.
answered your question.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And so now I would just say this to the audience that nothing should stop you, as Dr. Prerna said multiple times. And one of the thing is for all those extra enthusiastic researchers who want to do things which are not either available or they are limited by resources in their current lab, that gives you an opportunity for collaboration. Early on, if you learn how to collaborate, so you can reach out to a professor, a lab or an institute where you think that work can be done. So that will enhance the impact of your research question. Yes. And that will help you how to start making those bridges, because in a longer run, with this current science, the way it is becoming everything like interdisciplinary research. So people are working with the same sample with 10 different aspects, starting from molecular biology to social science. This is one thing which I think if you get trained early on will help you obviously long time. And as and whenever you get this opportunity, you should always grab it. And then again, I will say that nothing should stop you. Dr. Penna just said. So, Dr. Prerna, keeping the time duration and for the limit, the last words of wisdom which you can tell for our upcoming researchers or the postdocs who are, currently enjoying the research.
There is a lot kind of things you can say. That one thing is, nothing should stop you. Keep the zeal, keep the fire in the belly burning. That's the thing that will take you that will help you to go in research in the long run. Think about that. You can make always keep yourself. You can make yourself worthy. If you want to learn new techniques, make yourself worthy. If you want to learn something new, you can obviously, there's so much available nowadays. There's so much available. Go to webinars, seminars, attend. You will learn a lot. So broaden your outlook. You have to do that. Be patient, be positive, and be worthy. Success will eventually come to you. It is there. It will come to you. It's only just believe in yourself, and it will happen. Eventually it will happen. We don't know where we will be in our life. Life will happen. it will come in your way. It will happen. So you have to accept it and move on. That's there. And always, if you get an opportunity to do something, don't say no. Just grab it. Because sometimes we lose opportunities. We keep on don't think very long that, oh, should I do it? Should I do not? You lose opportunities and then your life path changes. So that's what I have learned from my mistakes. You mistakes happen, mistakes are there, but be positive, learn from them, and move ahead. Stay positive and take the leap of faith and be enthusiastic in your science.
Well said and well, summarized. So with this, we'll say to all the audience that if you want to connect with Dr. Prerna Bali, you can, obviously she has published so many papers. You can find her. If you want Empowering Science Foundation to put you in touch with our researcher celebrities, feel free to write it to us. And always will say that enjoy your research, keep the fire burning, as Dr. Prerna said. And now we'll say thank you very much, Dr. Prerna, for sharing your journey and igniting few more brains to become more passionate researcher. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'll say to everybody, make it count.